Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. I'm happy to see you all again. So we continue from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 3, text 41, right on the board? Okay. This particular text we have today is very, very important. And we're going to see how it applies to us, especially our daily practice. Hare Krishna. Tasmāt. Therefore, tvam, you, indriyāṇi, the senses, ādau, in the beginning, niyamya, by regulating, bharatarṣabha, O chief of Bharata, O chief among the descendants of Bharata, O chief among the descendants of Bharata, pāpmānam, the great symbol of sin, prajahi, crop, he, certainly, enaṁ, this, jñāna, of knowledge, vijñāna, and scientific knowledge. Scientific knowledge of the pure soul. Scientific knowledge of the pure soul. Nāśanam, destroy. Translation. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, crop this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he could crop the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of the self as distinguished from non-self. Or, in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijñāna. Vijñāna refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul, of the spirit soul's constitutional position and his relationship to the supreme soul. It is explained thus in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:9-31. The knowledge of the self, quote, and supreme self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by the Lord Himself. Bhagavad-Gita gives us that general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entity are part and parcel of the Lord, and therefore They are simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna Consciousness. So, from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna Consciousness, and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and acts accordingly. Lust is only the perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the natural condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principle of devotional service. So, from any age, from any stage of life, or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness. Devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timiranja Sanjana Anjana Shlaka Chakshu Ominitayena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistarya Bhutana Śrīmad Bhakti-Vedanta Swami. Hare Krishna. So the translation again. Therefore, O Arjuna, based on the Bharata, in the very beginning, crop this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. This is a direct instruction given to Arjuna. And we see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada give us hope. Only 4 letters words. L-U-S-T. But very powerful. Very powerful. This particular text is like a mirror to all of us, because it has importance in our daily practice. Generally, to practice spiritual life or to practice devotional service, it requires our physical and mental presence. But unfortunately, when lust arrives, these mental, physical, they become disturbed. There are a few things to say, to tell how this particular text is very, very important. For instance, Tulsi Maharani has said, she said, lust is a hindrance on the path of austerity, an obstacle to liberation, an impediment to development, to developing faith in Lord Hare, a refuge of all delusion and living chain that bind men to this world. This is the words of Tulsi Maharani. How strong it is. If we analyze our consciousness properly, before we come to Krishna consciousness, even as a practitioner of devotional service or spiritual life, we will see that day to day we are battled, we are bombarded, we are being challenged by these 4-letter words. Lust. Is there anybody in this hall today can raise up his hand and say, yeah, I'm totally free from 4-letter word lost? Is there anybody? No. I come from academic background. I see people have labored from master, doctorate, associate, prof, just to fall down with this 4-letter word lost. We had so many experience, materially speaking. There is a famous explanation to this. There was a king. This king was really an intellectual personality. He has written a lot of poets. Bhakti-yoga is his name. Just by looking at his wife, it will compose hundreds of poems glorifying the beauty of his wife. One day, a sage happens to visit his home and said, I have a gift for you. And this gift should be given to the one you love the most. As soon as the king received the gift, who he loved the most? The wife. And he gave the gift, a box of jewelry. He gave the gift to his wife, thinking that my wife, my queen, was the person I loved the most. And the queen gave the box to somebody else, who she think she loved the most. And the person gave the box to a girlfriend, who he think that he loved the most. And the box go around like that. And a maid servant of the king brought the box to the king, thinking that I love the king the most. When the box finally arrived to the hand of the king was bewildered. He said, I thought my queen, my wife, was the best person I loved the most, but it was just illusion. Although I was having these thoughts, and my wife was also thinking that the person I gave the box to was the person I loved the most, but it was also illusion. So what is the point here? What have we not had? What have we not experienced? Every day, listening to all the different details of news. Son, key father, married mother, daughter, key, mother, married, different stories. For what? Just because of 4-letter words lost. There is one famous story which is very, very interesting, that has equivalent, or content to this particular text today. This story concerns a stage. Most of us who have been in Vrindavan here, we have experience of both winter and summer, how it is. This sage, both winter and summer, he was always inside performing tapasya. His name of the sage is Kanadu, very famous sage. So one time, within the area where he performed this tapasya, there is a river, Gomati. So morning and afternoon, he used to go to the river and do some ritual. But one of the morning, when he went to this river to do some of, prayers, some rituals, he happens to meet a lady was there. And just by glancing at this lady, Apsaras, Prem Locha, just by glancing at these Apsaras, his countenance was completely changed. For more than hundreds of years, they were together. Hundreds of years, even when the Apsaras, Prem Locha, wants to leave, go back to his abode. But the sage said, no, let us be together. So one day, the sage happened to think that, whoa, I should do my Sandhya Arati, my evening prayers. So he was hurried to meet with the time, the evening prayers. So Prem Locha was seeing the sage. So he asked, where are you in a hurry to? He said, the time is, I have to be in the river to do my prayers. Then Prem Locha said, but there are many prayers you have missed. Many Sandhya Arati you have missed. Why is today so important? So the sage was surprised. He said, what do you mean? He said, I remember I saw you in the morning and now it is evening. He said, no. We have been together for more than 907 years. The sage was shocked. For more than 907 years. So the sage, automatically that lust wiped out of his eyes. Then he asked, how come about this? The Apsaras begin to explain how they have been together, how they have spent this long time of years together. So when he was explaining, the Apsara was thinking, Prem Locha was thinking that the sage was going to cost her. So there was some perspiration on her body. But the sage did not cost her because it was sent by personality. But the point here, how lust can bewilder so many personalities. Even those who have taken different vows, different austerity, just by 4-letter words, they are finished. How does this relate to us? How does this instructions which Krishna is giving to Arjuna, how does it apply to us? Krishna is telling Arjuna, these 4-letter words destroy knowledge, destroy self-realization. Atma-gyan, knowledge of the soul. So in the very beginning, Krobit. How does it apply to us? Lust comes in different form. Lust is not only when I see a beautiful woman. Nay, lust comes in different form. It can attack us in different ways. What is the example of this? When we say lust comes in different form. Bharat, a king of a massive kingdom, have renounced the kingdom just to enhance his spiritual growth. When he was in this process, his sight fell on a deer And that is the beginning of his fall down. From taking care, attachment developed. Meditation was kept aside. Instead of meditation, it becomes dear meditation. So sometimes in our practice, this can be our experience. Especially the experience of I am mine. This is my brother. This is my enemy. This is my friend. This is my well-wisher. These are different areas which we can be attacked by lust. Hey, only my Guru Bahi. No. These are the different. When this consciousness, when this consciousness becomes what we meditate on day and night, believe me, our practice, which is what Srila Prabhupada mentioned here as, Krishna Consciousness, is referred to as Nishkama Karma or Vaidhi Bhakti, a process of regulation. A process whereby we do everything, not for our interest, but for the benefit of the Lord. We want results, but the results not for us, but the result we want for Krishna. But if this consciousness is being maintained, I am mine, it is very difficult for us to do activities, for us to act with the thought or with the willingness that this action, this service, whatever it is for the pleasure of God. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Kunti Maharani said this in his words. She said, your real nature, talking about Krishna, he said, your real nature is not known to all. To people deluded by two cardinal thoughts, I am I. You are not visible. We may act with all our might. We may act with all our strength. But if we are being bombarded with certain consciousness that is influenced with lust, that is influenced with attachment, it is difficult to realize that what we're doing for God. It is difficult to realize that I'm even in the presence of God. It is difficult to understand that the message of Bhagavad-Gita is nothing, it has nothing to do with bodily consciousness. Srila Prabhupada tells this to Bhakti Swami. He said, if you are disturbed with the way these people are acting, he said, because you are acting like them, or you think like them. He said, but that is not the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. The spirit of Bhagavad Gita is in Bhagavad Gita. And what is that? We are not the body. We are spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. But there is hope for sincere practitioners. Rupa Goswami tells us in his preface, he said, advancement, progress on this part of spiritual life depends on the attitude of the practitioner. A seed will grow. It depends on the attitude of that man who has planted the seed. A seed will not grow. It depends on the attitude of that man who has planted the seed. Why is Krishna instructing Arjuna this? Because just by Arjuna seeing his kinsman, he was covered. He was covered. Bhishma, Karna, so many of them. A different thought come to his mind. And what is the cardinal concern of this thought? I am I. And that is what Krishna wants to take away from him. As soon as that is clear, Arjuna will say, yes, I'm totally free. I am I. This is the message of Bhagavad-Gita. We are not the body, we are spirit soul. The duty of the spirit soul is to act for the pleasure of the Lord. And that is the instruction Krishna gave to Arjuna. Act for my pleasure, not for your senses. For your senses, you will see so many things. And these things then will bewilder you. But if you act with me, whatever comes after that, I take charge, not you. So what is the privilege we have today? What is the hope we have? For us who wants to really, genuinely practice spiritual life, what is that zeal, what is that enthusiasm that will help us really wants to maintain that desire that we have, that I want to go back home, I want to practice spiritual life. I want to do according to what Srila Prabhupada have said. In the Purport, Srila Prabhupada said, what a fantastic point he has mentioned there. He said, nonetheless, in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the obstacles that Lord will present before us in different ways, he said, nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful, that even a late beginner, somebody who is just beginning, even a late beginner can become a lover of God. Somebody who is just beginning, who have experienced so many difficulties, who have experienced so many obstacles from different aspects of loss. He said he can become a lover of God by following the regulative principle of devotional service. By following the regulative principle of devotional service. This is by the bhakti. And what is that regulative principle? The first four are that cleanse us. No intoxicants, no illicit sex, no meat eating, and no gambling. This one free, it cleans us for us to get close. And what are that follows? That follows these four regulative principles. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Looking at the book also, reading the books, associating with devotees. Why is association with devotees important? Vishwananta Chakrabarti Thakur said in this particular text, the eyes, the hand, the leg, the ears, they are the propelling force of the mind. They are the propelling force of lust. This is commentary by Vishwananta Chakrabarti. The eyes, the ears, the hand, the leg. Was the ear hear? Was the eye see? The hand wants, the leg wants to go. He said by controlling these senses, one will be able to regulate the mind. And Srila Prabhupada draw it down to us. He said even a beginner can become a lover of God just by following the regulative principles. And one of that regulative principles, which actually we should not compromise, is the early morning chanting and worship, the Magharati. There is extraordinary strength in it. Those who are consistent with it, they have so much to say on this. Continue. So, from any stage of life, you see, so from any stage of life, or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness. The process of Krishna consciousness is designed to help us regulate the senses, the mind. When the senses, the mind are regulated, self-realization, intelligence is purified. The knowledge of Atma-jñāna, the knowledge of the soul, will be awakened in us. But if the senses, the mind, are not purified, it is difficult to actually understand. That is the reason why many of us may have been practicing for so many years, but we still have problem with this distinction that I'm not this cloth. I'm not the cloth. I'm something higher than this cloth. We still have so much big problem to understand. I'm spirit soul. Continue. One can become, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness. Devotional service of the Lord and turn the lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Our process is perfect. Srila Prabhupada has given us an amazing, incredible, excellent process. But what is left for us is to genuinely clothe ourselves to the process. Is to genuinely clothe ourselves to the process. Because it's only when we genuinely clothe ourselves to this process, we can actually understand the real notion, the real message of Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita is not advising us to accumulate this, to accumulate that, to accumulate. No. But if by our karma, this thing comes on their own accord, it is not for us, it's for Krishna. But the spirit of Bhagavad-Gita, though is in Bhagavad-Gita, which we all are made to imbibe. And what is that spirit? I'm not this body. I'm a spirit soul. And the duty of spirit soul is to render loving service, unconditional service, for the supreme pleasure of the Lord. But let us analyze our consciousness. Is it truly what we are doing? I leave that for our thoughts. Hare Krishna. Any comments, question? We have 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes. Question, comments? There is still like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Question? Comment? Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There is a practice of chanting is extractive. Today the Bhagavad-Gita text was not chanted by you and
Pardon?
chanting of text.
The text was on the board.
That was not chanted by you.
Okay.
3 times the man who is to learn during lecture, he chants the Bhagavad-Gita text 3 times.
Okay.
And then we chant subsequently.
Okay. Comment, right?
This is the
Comment. Okay, thank you. Any further comments or question? Reflection? We still have some few time. If you have reflection, he has given comment. So he has given his comments. So if there is some other questions or query, he still have something to say, right? I really have something to say.
by chanting the text of Bhagavad-Gita, we keep in mind the text throughout the lecture. This is the correct. I think this is the practice, actually daily practice. First practice, the text are chanted and then lectures.
Thank you. So somebody have, the ladies, you have a comment or question? So do we call it a day or we still have one more question? Each just give comments.
You have explained regarding how to control the check, the first technique, by regulating the sense of the feeling. This is very important technique. enemy of the devotee. He may fall down. If he does not have to avoid the step, lust is not controlled, he cannot perform the devotional service. One has to control the lust. Lust is controlled by detachment. Detachment of sense gratification, detachment of the relationship, family members, societies, and others. You have to perform your prescribed duties and not the attachment. If you are attached to your society, your friends, your family members, the senses, it will just you also explain that you will be thinking regarding this that attachment, not regarding the Lord Krishna. We have to manava. We have to think regarding the Lord Krishna 24 hours a day. That can only be possible. We must be away from lust side. The lust side. Lust can only be controlled by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And it can also be controlled by controlling your anger. This anger also must happen. You must control anger just by submission action. This is very much important.
Yeah, thank you. Nice comment. But there are 4G, 5G internet. But there is 3G internet. And this 3G internet is speed. It has more speed than 4G, 5G. This 3G internet, one of them is lost. Anger and greedy. Bhagavad-Gita 16 said, every sin man should give up this. But how can you give up something if you don't have alternative? That is one question. So what we are being informed in this particular text is a process that will help us to give up this 3G: lust, anger, and greed. They open the gate of hell. Gita says it opens the gate of hell. But we are so fortunate by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, not just knowing it, but we have a process that will help us regulate our consciousness. It's only when our consciousness is regulated we actually understand what is going on within this phenomenon world. If our consciousness is not regulated, understanding what is going on within this phenomenal world is very difficult. So the process Srila Prabhupada has given us is so sublime, so authentic. But it all depends on we are here. Are we going to imbibe it wholeheartedly? Are we imbibing it wholeheartedly? Or we are taking the area that suits us because of the honey we take from there? Or there are many things. So it all depends on our choice. So the choice is us to take advantage of the process or to choose area we want to take because there is some benefit or some concern on that area. Hare Krishna. Okay, Mataji has a question. Yeah. We have 5 minutes, no problem. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
If a great personality like
Maybe you can.
Bharatas,
Yeah.
got attached to a leader,
Good.
I mean, in terms of our chanting, can we be honest to really look at our chanting to see whether we're chanting attentively? Because we could be just watering the weeds instead of the devotional people.
Good.
Are we actually chanting purely? Are we attentive? Are we not committing offenses? So many things we have to consider.
Good.
In order for us to deal with the things that are talked about in this purport.
Yeah.
So we have to be honest and really look at our chanting and see where our mind is going. Are we actually focusing on Krishna? Or is our mind wandering? Are we offending devotees? Are we having seva offenses? Are we having dharma operations? There's so many things that we have to really be aware of and be mindful of and have an honest appraisal of how we're chanting. Because we know with our mind is a struggle, right? So we have to be constantly doing internal examination.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there a comment or is there a comment or question?
You can add to it.
Yeah, I like to add to it because I don't think you breached the purpose. There is actually one a philosopher. He was a philosopher par excellence. His name is Socrates. Socrates. He have said, the unexamined life, a life that is not being examined, is not worth living. If we don't examine ourselves, whether we are chanting nicely, whether we are not chanting nicely, it's not in our concern. We are only just chanting and rendering service. Socrates said this is not worth living. Just like in the morning, when we dress, we look at the mirror to see if things are properly in place. So we should examine our life time to time. We have good friends. There are many good friends. We have spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada is our best friends. Let them examine us. Let our friends examine us. Discuss. What is actually the essence of sadhu sangha? Is look yourself from their mirror. Am I trying? Am I doing well or not? They will tell you. And Rupa Goswami emphasized this, right? Exchange. So it is imperative to everyone to examine whether you are doing nicely or you are not. Because if there is no examination in life, the life is not worth living. Hare Krishna.